ॐ विश्वं दर्पणदृश्यमाननगरी तुल्यन्निजान्तर्गतं पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिरिवोद्भूतं यथा निद्रया यस्साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयं तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये बीजस्यान्तरिवाङ्कुरो जगदिदं प्राङ्निर्विकल्पं पुनः मायाकल्पितदेशकालकलना वैचित्र्यचित्रीकृतं मायावीव विजृम्भयत्यपि महायोगी वयस्वेच्छया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ So we are discussing the non-duality is a matter of an experience, of course. It's most desirable and it is experienced also. Shastra presents it as a goal. Non-duality is a goal because in duality there is always a limitation, and non-duality means it is fullness, limitless. And so this is what we saw in the morning. Now we have to go a little further in that experientially, if I did not have the knowledge of being free, knowledge of being comfortable, knowledge of being wellness, then I would not have been able to come to this judgment that I am unhappy, I am uncomfortable. This has arisen because of a norm. So, my point is, no judgment could be made without a norm. Like if there is no law, then we could not say this particular act is unlawful or this is lawful. Lawful or unlawful can be only, we can say, when there is some law. That is a norm for making judgment. And Pujya Swami used to give an example of a coffee. You know, he loves coffee, of course he loved. But he used to give this example of a coffee, that if I have a standard cup of coffee in my mind, which I have experienced before, and that has become a standard in my mind, then only I can say this particular coffee which I am sipping right now, given by a host, I am sipping right now, is good or bad, right? Then only I can say, otherwise I can't say. And therefore, suppose if I am taking coffee for the first time given by the host, and if host asks me, Swami, how do you like this coffee? I would say, I cannot judge this coffee because I am taking for the first time. Only I know that this is coffee. I have to tell that much. Good or bad, I cannot tell. And therefore, whenever I say that I am uncomfortable, I am unhappy, all is not well with me, all this, I am feeling so much of lack within, that shows that there was an experience before in which all these limitations or a lack or uncomfortability has been dropped. That was the most desirable experience I had before, and with respect to that I am saying this is not good experience, etc. This is where I am feeling lack within. So one person has always experienced this wholeness. In a moment of joy, there is a wholeness, right? One has experience, and the wholeness means the seeker sought division has resolved, and therefore that's a wholeness. The division or the duality has gone. And therefore I find myself in the moment of joy, I find myself in the moment of wellness, in the moment of satisfaction, that there is non-duality. There is no, You cannot tell me that, Swamiji, I am having a lot of lack within, lot of dissatisfaction, but I am happy. Hey. It is not, it's just impossible. Moment of joy indicates that you have dropped your dissatisfaction, uncomfortability, etc. You have dropped for a time being, for a moment, but you have dropped. Therefore, there is a wholeness. When there is a lack within, then definitely there is no wholeness. So in a moment of joy, there is definitely wholeness. But Swamiji, this wholeness belongs to whom? Who experiences joy? The person who is experiencing joy, he is whole, right? There is nothing other than that. Seeker has gone. Seeker has resolved. Sought has resolved. Both have resolved. Swamiji, where do we resolve? What is left over, there itself they have resolved, right? Like where can pot resolve? What is left over later after breaking the pot? That's where it has gone. That's where it has gone. Seeker has arisen from the same consciousness, and therefore sought also has arisen. But anyway, this is not, I don't want to discuss right now all this. But basically, seeker, sought both, and as such the seeking itself drops. You are no more a seeker. When seeking drops, any moment, you are no more a seeker. And if you are no more a seeker, there is no sought object. There is an object, but there is no sought object. And therefore, in a moment of joy, definitely, if seeking drops, therefore, seeker and sought both resolve, and there is a wholeness. There is no duality anymore. Wholeness means there is a non-duality. And so the non-duality is the most, most desirable thing, and non-duality is also, I have experienced. Both. It is most desirable, and I have experienced. And therefore, I always strive to get the same experience, same moment of experience again and again. I want that. And that's how, compared to that norm, I always feel that I am not comfortable. When you compare, when you have certain norm, then only you can judge that this particular situation in which I am not happy, I am not comfortable, I am having a lot of dissatisfaction, etc., etc. I am having uneasiness. All these things are possible with respect to that experience of joy in which you are comfortable, you are whole, right? So, and Pujya Swamiji used to always tell that once you know your height, you cannot settle for anything less than that. Do you remember now? So that's your height. In a moment of joy, that was your height, that you are whole. All the limitations, etc., have been dropped. And therefore, that's your height. And you want to reach again and again. Through varieties of the experiences, you want to reach that height. And if you could not reach, you say, I am dissatisfied, I am having a lot of lack within, or I am uncomfortable, etc. And that is what all the struggle is about. The struggle is only for getting the same height again and again, because that is where I am getting a joy. And I love joy for the sake of joy. There is no reason. If there is no reason, it's my nature. If you don't find any reason, that's the nature. If you say fire is hot because fire is hot, right? Fire is hot because fire is hot. Swamiji, fire is hot because, only because. Nothing. Therefore, I love happiness because I love happiness. That's all. I love survival because I love survival. I love Shanti because I love Shanti. I love Shanti. That's all. And therefore, that must be my nature. What I love must be my nature. What I hate must be, it's not my nature. That's how, if water wants to get rid of the heat, not fire. Water wants to get rid of it because it's not its nature. It always wants to remain cool. And therefore, the moment you switch off the stove, it just cools off. Therefore, this love for survival, love for happiness, love for Shanti, etc., etc., love for comfort with oneself, love for wholeness, all this indicates it's my nature, which I experience in the moments of joy, here and there in my life, and that keeps me going. Otherwise, there is a lot of struggle in my life, tremendous struggle, only for getting such moments again and again. And this kind of a statement, like, once you know your height and you cannot settle for anything less, it is applicable to everything. It is applicable to cooking, it is applicable to typing a letter, it's applicable to writing a letter also. Suppose you wrote a letter today, and immediately I say, oh, it's a beautiful letter you have written. He said, Swamiji, this is nothing. Or you may take it, okay, because you don't want to argue, etc. You said, okay. But because she knows the height, what kind of a letter she could write. In cooking also, it always happens. I have seen several times, and Swamis are supposed to tell that everything is very good, very good. Really. And we have, that's a recording in our mind. Immediately we start. The moment the host comes, especially the lady comes, we'll start. This is very beautiful. How you have made, etc. We'll start that way. And she said, Swamiji, that's okay. Everyone on the dining table says, this is very beautiful. You have made this particular dish. She says, it's okay. Because she knows for them it is all right. Because I can make better. She knows the height. Once you know your height, you cannot settle for less than that. So you know your height in moment of joy, that you are a whole being. You are a whole being. You don't have any limitations. One feels limitations and one is joyful. Impossible. Is impossible thing. Both things cannot be. Moment somebody shows some kind of a limitation to you, even though at that time you were happy, before that, moment somebody shows a limitation to you, the happiness will go. And therefore, in a moment of joy, definitely, there is no limitation. That's my height. The limitlessness is my height. And of course, but it's an experience. It just goes off, and therefore now I struggle to become again and again. Therefore, it's a struggle from, in terms of experience, it is a struggle from duality to non-duality. Non-duality is a goal of life. Non-duality is a goal of life. You don't lack experience of non-duality. You definitely lack the knowledge of non-duality. Definitely. Experience of non-duality is, there is no dearth of experience of non-duality. So many moments of joy it has come in my life, but there is definitely a lack of knowledge of non-duality. Anyway, so a seeker does not want to remain a seeker. And so I don't mind being a seeker of knowledge. Please listen to this. I don't mind being a seeker of knowledge, but not a seeker of joy through knowledge. I don't mind being a seeker of wealth, but I definitely, I don't want to be a seeker of joy through the wealth. I will tell you that. I don't mind being a seeker of children, but I definitely mind getting a joy out of children. I don't want such kind of a seeking in which I seek a joy through the children, because when they come, they bring their own problems. Children come, they bring their own problems. Wealth comes, they bring all problems. Earlier, I was not writing any accounts because I was not having any wealth. And now wealth has come, all problems have come. I have to file the income tax returns. I'm not filing, I'm telling an example, please. And Swami is earning where? I'm just telling you. So, if you are a seeker of a joy through wealth, power, children, anything, definitely the seeking is not going to end. Seeking is not going to end, because such seeking will definitely bring their problems. And you want to get rid of the problems, and therefore you remain as an eternal seeker. Eternal seeker. That's it. And that brings disappointment also, definitely, because they don't fulfill the promise of giving you joy as such. And therefore, and in such a, well, of course, in this struggle then, when you get a moment of joy in between, when the seeker and sought gets dropped off, even though it is incidental, you really like it. You appreciate it. You welcome it. Because you are no more a seeker. But for a time being, the one raga is over. You have fulfilled this particular, desire, and you have got a desire object, and therefore, definitely, one raga is over. There is a moment in which there is a silence, there is a joy, and again, the new raga is born from that Shruti which we have talked about. One more thing which I forgot to tell you is, it is not a rule that whenever I fulfill a desire, I will become happy. That's not the rule. Sometime after fulfilling desire, you definitely think also, I would not have desired this thing at all. I would not have desired this thing. Swamiji was giving an example that one lady in New York, and she went into a departmental store, and then she came out. And first she wanted to buy something. She just came out. As she came out of the store, somebody from the top shouted, "Stop! Don't move!" Then she just stopped. Before she could realize, a boulder fell just in front of her. And then she thought she has saved life. Somebody has saved her life. And then she just crossed road. After a few days, when again she went to that particular departmental store, and she came out, and she came up to the road, and she wanted to cross the road. And immediately the same voice came from the sky. "Stop! Don't move!" And she was seeing up. Then she saw some boulder or something is coming or what. No, but then a runaway truck was just coming without brakes. And she just, held herself back. And this one has just passed. Then she thought, who is this person who is saving my life all the time? She thought of that. And she said, she shouted, "Who are you who saved my life twice?" Then then voice came, "I'm Angel. I'm Angel saving your life." Then she said, "Where were you before my marriage?" Marriage was a desirable before it. After, person repents too, fulfilling the desire. So Pujya Swamiji was giving example, there is no rule. If you fulfill desire, then only you become happy. That's not rule. Second thing, if you don't fulfill the desire, yet you are happy, there are thousands of occasions. Thousands of occasions. 2 occasions I just gave of recent past of my experience. You have also. Anything, you just see a blue sky tomorrow morning and a very beautiful sunrise, bright sunlight, and you become happy. You go to nature, you just become happy. Need not be that you have desire to go to a particular mountain and this, that. You just go and you meet something and you become happy. And therefore, desire and happiness has no connection. It's mere ignorance that we think like that by fulfilling desire one becomes happy, and therefore the object provides the happiness. Right? That's a big, in fact, obstruction. Because we say, I am the nature of happiness, and experience as though looks like that the object gives happiness. Then we have to give this kind of a logic. It's never so. That object gives you happiness. It is not that kind of a thing. Only thing is, in the moment of happiness, you see yourself a whole being without any lack. And that is the beauty of the self. That's the beauty of the self, that you are whole. And it also indicates the limitation pertaining to the self are not correct. They are not intrinsic nature of the self. Because if you can drop something, it is not your nature. If you cannot drop something, that if you try to drop, then in the process you also go away, then definitely that's not your nature. That is your nature. If you try to drop something and in the process you also go away, definitely it's your nature. If you can drop something yet you are intact, well, that's an incidental thing. Therefore, Vedanta opens with this kind of analysis of our own experiences of joy. There are few and far in between, let it be. But still, it opens up a possibility of that Atma or the self may be limitless. Then while limitations are felt, etc., it's a different issue. But this is how we see the things. So So the problem of a human being, as I told you, is not a lack of experience of non-duality. It's just a problem is of a lack of knowledge of a non-duality. I will give you a very beautiful example also. When you go to a deep sleep, then definitely there is total non-duality. Like a king and a beggar. This is an example in the Upanishad itself. When king and beggar both are there, before they go to sleep, king is king, beggar is beggar. King goes to sleep at a particular time, particular place, of course, palace, etc. And beggar goes to sleep at a particular time. He sleeps early because he doesn't have to do anything. After taking dinner, he just goes to sleep. Anyway, so a different time, different place, different time, different place, different conditions, different problems, everything different. When? Before they go to sleep. King is a king before sleep. Beggar is a beggar before sleep. Once they enter into deep sleep, king is no more a king. No time, no place, no problems, nothing. King's problems are king's problems. Beggar's problems are beggar's problem until they go to sleep. Until they go to sleep. When they go to sleep, it's just a non-dual experience. And who hates sleep? Who hates? No one hates. So non-duality and joy goes together. In fact, there is no time, no place, no objects, so-called desired objects which you have accumulated in the past and which are lying around in the bedroom or anywhere else, in the refrigerator, everywhere, or in your wardrobes, full of desired saris and whatnot. They are outside. So without contacting any desired object of a Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha, how can you be happy for so long? Where you only are there, nothing else. If you think that for getting a joy you require some object, well, deep sleep proves to be a contrary thing. Then the deep sleep must be a state where the person must be very, very unhappy. And if it is unhappy, person would not wish to go into. First thing. But he loves sleep. And not only that, he does a good preparation also. Temperature and these and everything. That shows he is going to enter into an experience which is very welcome thing. Very welcome. Very welcome. It's a non-dual experience. You look at your dimension in the sleep. What is your dimension? You are there. You cannot tell me, Swamiji, I myself was not there. You only told that I experienced the sleep. You went to sleep at a particular time and you experienced the sleep, and the person who has slept only has woken up. Therefore, there is one I. Not that a new I has born in the sleep. Well, you are there. No objects are there. And only you are there. What's your dimension? What's your dimension? 5 feet by 4 feet by 3 feet? If you think that way, then you are no more in a sleep. If you are still feeling that I am 5 feet 6 inches, suppose 5 feet 6 inches, you are in a bed, but you get an idea about yourself. You are no more sleeping, sir. You are waking right now. Once you enter into a sleep, definitely you are right there to experience the absence of everything, absence of time, absence of place, everything, which I am going to analyze a little later about the deep sleep, reveals so many things, and definitely without any dimension. No dimension. Limitless. You are there, and that too limitless. And that's a very welcome experience. No one hates sleep. You may postpone sleep. You may have some work, you may postpone. But you definitely wish, even if you are too busy, in part of your mind, I have to take some rest. I have to take some rest. I have to take some rest. It goes on. And you will take rest by hook or crook. At least by sitting, If you are writing something, at least on the table itself, you will put your head. And this is how a non-duality and joy goes together. Non-duality and fullness goes together, and that non-duality, etc., is not outside somewhere, centered on the self. It is just centered on the self. We are analyzing our own experiences, keeping the self in the center, and that self is of such a beautiful nature. This is what has been told. Anyway, so in Advaita there is always a relief. In non-duality there is a relief. There is joy. And we all love non-duality. Nobody wants duality. We fight only because of two. We should please understand this. It takes two, not merely two. The conflicting two for a fight. It takes two for a crime. It takes two for violence. It takes two for jealousy, hatred. It takes only one for love. Even though there are two. But definitely, if there is a harmony between them, there is oneness. If conflict comes in between, definitely there is a duality. So, non-duality and duality we will have to understand little properly. If physical duality is there, if a perceptible duality is there, don't think there is a duality. If there is a harmony between them, love between them, then definitely there is oneness. There is a oneness. So there is no division when there is a harmony. Because you accept the person completely. I mean, in a love, that's the main thing. Love means, love and attachment has this difference. In attachment, there is a lot of selfishness, you know. In attachment, you are dependent on the person for your happiness. And in love, you are not dependent on the person for your happiness. Definitely you give a freedom to the other person, you accept other person, there is independence there. In attachment, there is definitely a dependence on the person for happiness. And therefore, in attachment, always the one person tries to control the other. In love, there is no control like that. There is no control. Because he is not dependent for happiness on the person. That's how the people who are, the people who are wise, they love the whole, the entire humanity. There is no attachment there. There is a love. Because they are not dependent for happiness on the humanity. So attachment and love has this difference. Anyway, so there is no division as such really. When the person is accepted completely, there is a love there. And also, Puja Swamiji said at one place that when, suppose some musical concert, etc. is going on, and everyone is enjoying. I saw such musical concert, which has come in Guinness Book Records also. Wonderful. There are thousands of people, and all were so much joyful that they have started dancing also. Whenever they got space in between the chairs, they were dancing. So when there are thousands of people together, and if all are happy, there is a non-duality. There is a non-duality. So in a moment of joy, there is always non-duality. What we have said before, we are just repeating that way. But it definitely takes a conflict to create a duality. Or where there is a duality, there is a conflict. And Dattatreya has learned this very beautifully. If Dattatreya has, had several gurus. One of the guru of a Dattatreya was a woman. He used to, ask for bhiksha to various people. And one day he asked a bhiksha to one woman. And he was not knowing that she is very poor, so he just asked for a bhiksha. And she was very much, she felt very much obliged, and she said, "Yes, sir, please come in. I welcome you. Have a seat. I will just serve some food." Actually, there was no food. Nothing was there. The rice was not there. Some paddy was there. So now she has to pound the paddy. And she has started pounding. And, she has wearing some bangles. So, and it was creating a noise. And then she realized that if this Mahatma would come to know that I am pounding the paddy, the food is not ready, etc. The rice is not there in the home, then he would slowly walk away, silently walk away. And therefore, she started removing 1, 2, 3. There were 9 here, 9 here. And she removed 8. On this side, and then from here also 8. And Dattatreya by the time came to know, because already the noise has started coming, And so he saw that. And he realized that why she has not removed one. Then he realized, he said that it takes two for a noise, it takes one for a sound. I mean, it takes two for a noise. Like I'm right now talking to you, suppose. I hope that this is a situation. I'm talking to you. Is it a noise or a sound? Depends. Depends, Swamiji. For few of us it is a noise, for few of us it is a sound. Because it's a time, Swamiji, at this time, what non-duality, etc. you're talking. I mean, so definitely if you are absorbed into the topic, then there is no duality. If you are not absorbed into topic, definitely there is a duality and you feel noise. Even a Swami talks can be a noise for a person who is not absorbed, right? So definitely where there is a duality, there is a noise. If you are absorbed into something, then there is oneness, and definitely then there is just a sound. Suppose if it is Swami's voice, it is just a sound. Anyway, so this is how the experiences of non-duality we are analyzing. And lastly, I would like to say that, nobody loves Dvaitam, that's correct. But at the same time, we don't make any attempt also to learn about duality. No one makes an attempt to learn about duality also. And for knowing the duality as such, we don't require any scriptures, we don't require any Swamis to come and tell about the duality. But if in spite of all these dualities, which we are experiencing in terms of an individual world and Ishvara, definitely if there is something common, there is something non-dual in all the three, it definitely calls for a special knowledge in which you experience as though duality, but it definitely, there is something common which is not perceptible. In all the three, there is something between me and the maker of the world, between me and the world as such. If there is something common and it is imperceptible, definitely it requires a special knowledge to know what is a common factor or what is a non-dual thing among all the three. And that special knowledge is from Upanishads, definitely. Because that non-dual thing or the essence of everything, Jeev, Jagat and Ishvara, as I said in the morning, the Tattva of essence of everything is not perceptible to the human being. If it is not perceptible, then it is there. Definitely it calls for a pramana which is beyond the perception of a human being. That's how the Vedas, which is called apaurusheya pramana, the pramana which talks about things or a subject matter which will never be perceptible to the human being. Never. It may be a punyam, papam, it may be devata, it may be atma. It is never perceptible. Punyam will never be perceptible to any human being. Papam will never be perceptible. Such subject matter is, established in a special, means of knowledge that's called Upanishads or Veda as such. And therefore, for Dvaitam, we definitely don't require any other means of knowledge to know because we are experiencing also. But in spite of this Dvaitam, if there is something called a Dvaitam, which we experienced in our life, in a moment of joy, etc., to know that thing, definitely we need a special means of knowledge called Upanishad. And I gave you an example of a physics, of course, that to know copper is copper, gold is gold, etc., and you require only good eyes, right? And at the same time, and there are certain properties, the color, etc., also to know, you require, your eyes is sufficient, your mind, whatever little mind you have, that is sufficient for that. But all these are just a matter, and it is interconvertible with the energy in all these things. There is a non-duality among all these metals. To know that, definitely you need a special knowledge. You will have to perhaps call a physicist to understand that. And therefore, the same way, the Shastra also is definitely a special means of knowledge which establishes the non-duality in so-called perceptible duality, or the non-duality in spite of duality. In spite of duality. In spite of duality indicates it is just an appearance. That duality does not harm the non-duality, and therefore it must be just an appearance. Therefore, this is how we establish that Upanishads or the Veda establish a non-duality or the essence of all the three things, and at the same time it indicates that's the goal of a life, and the means of achieving that goal is to know the self. That self is non-dual. Therefore, either world is non-dual, either Ishvara is non-dual, either I am non-dual. It is one and the same thing ultimately, and therefore I am non-dual is a matter of experience, but I should know it. And well, knowing that, one becomes free. Because non-duality means limitlessness or fullness, freedom from all kinds of limitations, freedom from what you don't want. All this indicates by that. So this is how we have covered. For that purpose only I have kept this class, and now we'll invite some questions if you have. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.